work, Nigeria still they can't pay. Oh, it go better, Nigeria still they can't pay. We no break, we no scatter, Nigeria still they can't pay. Oh, it done better, Nigeria still they can't pay. Where are the Igbos, Hausas and Yorubas? Make we come together, cause we be brothers. Forget the language, cause we resemble. Oh, make we live as one, no, and celebrate. 60 years done work, Nigeria still they can't pay. Oh, it go better, Nigeria still they can't pay. We no break, we no scatter, Nigeria still they can't pay. Oh, it done better, Nigeria still they can't pay. It go better, Nigeria still they can't pay. It done better, Nigeria still they can't pay.
Citizen FM 93.7. Good morning. It is 11 minutes downside 9 o'clock, and this is the Super Citizen Talking Point. My name is KEMI ASEKUN. Today we'll be looking at the state of the campaigns, and we have somebody from one of the political parties, the ruling party, as a matter of fact, who will be in the studio with us any moment from now as we take an in-depth look at what the state of the campaign is from that side of the divide. We're working assiduously to get someone from the main opposition party to tomorrow, to look at the state of campaign as regards their own end. They say, well, let me say it this way. It is said that just because you do not take an interest in politics does not mean that politics will not take an interest in you. And in basic terms, that is saying that if you say politics is dirty, politics is not something people should get involved in, the people who will get involved in will determine and decide the laws that the rest of us will have to, function with. And that is the more reason why, more than anything else, it's very important to keep our eyes on the ball, especially with regards to politics and the people who will be manning the seats to rule our nation, both at the federal, at the state, at the local government levels, because at the end of the day, whatever decisions they make will trickle down to us, and we'll have to comply either ways. Okay, I need to quickly take a break because I'm trying to get my guest in any moment from now. He did apologize that he will be a few minutes behind schedule. Okay, so any moment from now he'll be here, but let's just quickly take this break and we'll be back, hopefully with our guest in the seat at that time.
It crossed your mind. Stay connected to the Super Citizen Show as we enjoy a great radio experience on 93.7 Citizen FM Abuja. It's the full package. Let's take you back, way back. Let's celebrate the African people, culture, rich heritage, and wealth of excellence on African Vibes on 93.7 Citizen FM Abuja. Stay abreast. Get informed. Know what's happening around you on News Roundup. And when it's 4:30 p.m., you know it's time for quizzes. Do you think you know Nigeria? Answer 3 questions correctly and be one of our daily winners on quizzes. That's why we say it's the full package. It's the Super Citizen Show with Didi. 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays through Fridays on 93.7 Citizen FM Abuja.
Once upon a time, for one village where they for air, everything they go well. Them they enjoy better things until them great grandpillar them tell them say he get one secret where they for inside calabash, for inside bush. Elders them gather, them send them more inter bush, impact in ngongo and then janja take inside bush. When you see the calabash, where them papa hide for inside bush. Time to open the calabash. Ezemwa heart, then knack. Last, him open the calabash. What's in me the secret where he comes see?
As we bring them out, Abuja how far? Hashtag man up, calm yans, mind your language. That's here, and the plenty gadget betterment mixed with correct Naija song. Now them they inside Evening Your Love with SMO 1 Radio Street Brief for 93.7 Citizen FM Abuja. Flex Evening Your Love Monday to Friday from 5 o'clock for evening go reach 9 o'clock for night. Evening Your Love with SMO 1 for 93.7 Citizen FM.
I do understand that my guest is having a few issues in trying to locate this part of the building, this part of town. So we'll quickly take this song, and this song is actually election related. I was hoping to line it up for after the program. We might actually take it after the program, but it's titled Surulere. It is by Lagbaja.
0.7 for police and citizens, an opportunity for citizens to interface with the members of the police force. Your suggestions, commendations, comments, and complaints will be taken on the show. Do
Title Surulere. This is the Super Citizen Talking Point, and we're looking at the state of the campaigns with the ruling All Progressives Congress Party this morning. My guest, I think, was misled by Google Maps, and you know how Google Maps can be, when it comes to misleading sometimes. So I think he went to another part of town, but he will be here any moment from now, from the last communication I had with him. But if we're looking at the state of the campaign, I guess it's a good time to look at the fact that INEC actually lifted the embargo on campaigns on the 28th of September. Since then, the People's Democratic Party, for example, has actually started their own campaign, and they kicked off with a campaign in Akwa Ibom. The All Progressives Congress has done an inauguration of the presidential campaign team, the women presidential campaign team, and they did that last week Monday. However, the 422-member Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress is yet to be inaugurated, and we're yet to see what it will be leading to. Beyond that, none of the parties, to the best of my knowledge, has released a manifesto yet. Okay, so our fingers are still crossed with regards to that one. However, in recent times, of course, there has been a lot going on the social in the social media space. Okay, with the different movements. Okay, you have the articulated, you have the batified, you have the obedient, and those are like the three major loud people on social media. Whether this translates actually to what's on ground, it's a different thing entirely. However, one of the things that is noteworthy is the fact that everybody is agreed on the fact, most people, let's put it that way, are agreed on the fact that the elections this time around has to be issue-based. The campaigns have to be issue-based. It shouldn't be based on, you are taller than me, I'm shorter than you, you have done this, you have done that. It's basically more or less has to be a campaign of communication. What do you intend to do? What is the state we find ourselves in now? And what should the people expect if by the grace of God you do get to, come into power? And so on the Super Citizen Talking Point, we will have these pockets of state of the campaign with regards to different parties, across board. NMPP, the presidential campaign. The presidential candidate is Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwaso. We will also have the ADC, even though the ADC is actually embroiled in quite a number of issues right now as we speak. Last week, the party actually said that they had expelled the presidential candidate, and there is a lot of, a dark cloud hanging around that. There's also a cloud hanging around the Labour Party's candidate, with one of those who contested for the ticket, with Mr. Peter Obi saying that he did not voluntarily step down, and that he was, he was asked to step down, so to speak, known as Fado Joe. And he says that there were certain things that were said to him that has not come to bear, okay, with regards to what the party promised when they were, whether they were asked to step down or they decided to step down before Mr. Peter Obi became the Labour Party candidate, but there's been some videos on social media where he's been saying that there's so much he wants to say, there's so much he will do and all of that, because he didn't believe that he was dealt a fair card by the Labour Party. So that's the state of things. There's also in the People's Democratic Party recently, the presidential candidate has made a statement in Kaduna that hasn't gone down well with many people, where he said something about ethnicity and all of that. But that's not our focus, because today we're actually focusing on a particular party. I'm just bringing you up to speed as to what is going on. Of course, the People's Democratic Party is still embroiled in all the challenges that they do have with the governor of Rivers State and 4 other governors, especially South governors, who do not, believe that they've also been dealt a fair card, by the People's Democratic Party, considering that the the presidential candidate of the party is of the northern extraction. The chairman is of the northern extraction. Even at some point, the BOT chairman was of the northern extraction, but then that has changed now with Chief Adolphus Wabara in the driver's seat as the BOT chairman. There were videos, in the online space where Governor Wike was saying that he will not be part of that. That's generally the state of the campaign as it is, okay? Our guest is on his way, and we're going to probably hold Google and Google Map if we can't get a hand on them, for causing this chaos this morning. Because my guest he said he will be with me in 5 minutes until we found out that Google had taken him to somewhere entirely different from where he was headed to. And of course, you know that if you don't know Abuja so well, Google Maps is like the best thing you can resort to do, but sometimes it actually, makes a mistake and all of that. And so that's generally the state of the campaign as we speak right now, even though on the Zuma talking point earlier, we did have quite a number of people say that, hey, what we want are issues. We don't want who is what and all of that. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break, and when I do come back, my guest will be with me.
Hello, Abuja. You are listening to 93.7 Citizen FM, the latest radio station based in Nigeria's capital. Our station seeks to broadcast a broad mix of culture and views with priority given to development programming to enable residents share ideas and opinions, music and drama. At Citizen FM, we believe in progressive talk and solution-driven conversation. Our aim is to build a united Nigeria by bringing people of diverse culture together through communication. Enjoy listening to 93.7 Citizen FM. We are more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
28 minutes to 9 o'clock. Yes, once again, I apologize for kick-starting with my guest a few minutes behind schedule. He's on his seat now, and it's a pleasure to have him in the studio. Very good morning to you, Mr. Bayo Onanuga.
Good morning, KEMI. It's a pleasure coming here again.
Aha. Okay, he's a friend of the house. It's very unusual to have him come in at this time, but then things happen for a reason, but we'll kickstart right away. They say that we do not say that a man who takes no interest in politics is a man who minds his own business. We say that he is a man who has no business at all. This morning, we are looking at the state of campaigns. The campaigns have kicked off in full gear across party lines, and since the lead on campaigning was lifted off by INEC on the 28th of September, parties here and there are doing all they can to capture the hearts of voters and to ensure that come February 2023, they get not only the hearts but also the thumbprint of as many voters as possible. This morning, we hosted the Director of Media and Publicity of the Presidential Campaign Council of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, who is a veteran journalist and has contributed a great quota to the establishment of our democracy. As a matter of fact, in the dark, gory days of the General Sani Abacha's regime, he was held captive by the DSS. He was only lucky not to have been killed during that dark era of our history. He is a master guerrilla journalist, an editor and the founder of Independent Communication Network, IGNL, the former director of News Agency of Nigeria, but joins us this morning in his capacity as the Director of Media and Publicity of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council. Good morning once again, Mr. Onanuga, and welcome to the Super Citizen Talking Point.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, let's say that congratulations are in order on the successful inauguration of the Women Presidential Campaign Team of the APC. Let's start with, what was the idea behind having a Women Presidential Campaign Team in place?
Well, you know that women very important when it comes to electoral functions. In fact, from our experience, once you have the women on your side, you have, the job is almost half done. The women are reputable for voting, for taking all the time in this world to make sure that they vote. And that's the significance of our party having a separate women's campaign team. And they have, while we are waiting to formally launch, the women are far, far ahead of us. And they have rolled on, they are already campaigning.
Let me just quickly ask, it's a first for any political party to actually have a presidential campaign team of women besides the actual presidential campaign team. What was the idea behind, why did that happen, so to speak?
No, I've said it. I said women are very, very pivotal in any election. In fact, in Lagos, what we're saying, say women votes Igbo.
Oh, okay.
So that's the basic thing.
Now this takes
women are very, very important. In fact, any politician who doesn't have women around him is wasting his time. They are not people who can just push aside. And in our own party, it's significant that the wife of our candidate is a politician. Don't forget, she's a senator of the Federal Republic, the wife of the president. Well, she may not say she's a politician, but she's been an activist, someone who's very much interested in politics, and she's been making her voice known and her views known about a lot of national issues. So you can see that. And even the wife of Senator Shetima, who's a running mate, is also not a pushover when it comes to this game of politics.
Okay.
So you see all of them banding together to lead the women's team.
Let's take us to the 42-member Presidential Campaign Council, which is yet to be inaugurated. Why the delay?
It's not 42 members. It's
422 members.
Oh.
Yes, 422 members. So I said 422. Yeah.
Okay,
yes, 422 members.
Well, Ashwaju and his running mate, there are people who want to make sure that everybody is carried along. The initial list that was published was not the comprehensive list. I think that also raised some misunderstanding. And it was good that that list was altered. And we now have a second look at the entire list. There were some errors committed. And so all these past weeks or so, we've been trying to rectify all those errors. And I think we are going to go good this week. I think that list will be formally unveiled this week.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay. Well, you're listening to Citizen FM 93.7. It is 22 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. I have in the studio with me Mr. Bayo Onanuga. It's the it's the Super Citizen Talking Point, and we're looking at the state of the campaign from the angle of the APC. Now, I'd like us to look at the fact that the APC has quite a number of support groups. It appears that your party has uncountable support groups, and then the question now is, with that amount of support groups, what else do you need a campaign council and all of that for? I don't know. Nigerians will be wondering, how come there are so many, and are you not having a duplication of different people across board?
No, the campaign council, the way it has been structured, we have those who are going to be in Abuja, those who are going to manage the zones, those who are going to manage the states, even up to the polling unit. So it's not a large, anyone who's doing a national election must have a structure that will address all those issues, having to ensure that you have people right to the polling unit of the country. Every polling unit, you have people there. So that's how the campaign is structured.
Okay.
We have those who are going to manage the campaign from the headquarters in Abuja, and you have people who are going to manage it from the zonal headquarters. We have people who are going to manage the election at the state level, and so on and so forth. So everybody cannot be on the list that Abuja is compiling, but a lot of people are going to be on the list in the zone, in the state, at the local level, at the polling unit.
Now, many people are looking at, we're looking forward to issue-based campaigns, from the different parties across board. But in recent times, I'm not certain it's about your party, but in recent times, we've heard different things from different camps. That has made it quite worrisome that we have bigger problems in Nigeria that we would like the candidates to address. But what we get quite recently, there was a comment from another candidate who said quite a number of things and all of that. What are we to expect from the APC? Would you be responding to some of those things, or would you just focus?
Well, if they try to throw stones at us, we will respond. But we have said from the one that we are going to run an issue-based campaign. We are going to tell Nigerians what our candidates will do when elected. These are the things we promise. We don't want to be exchanging blows with people. We just want to focus on the messages that we have for our country. What we call renewed hope that we want to give to Nigerians. And you heard Asiwaju Tinubu speaking about such things on Monday. Was it Monday? Today is on Saturday.
Okay.
In Kaduna.
Yeah.
Where he addressed a number of issues and just like giving Nigerians a peep into his manifesto, which we also most very, very, very likely released this week. He spoke about how his administration will give Nigerians a double-digit growth. He spoke about how we're going to use the many talents in Nigeria to build a formidable cabinet. About a lot of plans that he revealed. Some of those he didn't talk about plans to help our growing army of youths to make sure they are useful, not just to themselves, but to the country. To students, there's a promise that the loans will come back, just like it was in the 70s when we used to have a Nigerian Students' Loans Board. Of course, this will help students a lot. They don't need to worry their parents anymore about paying school fees or taking care of themselves. These are some of the promises we are lining up. As for security, a major issue in our country today, Asiwaju also has some plans from the point of view of increasing the number, from the point of view of using technology to wage war against all these bandits and insurgents. Because some of these things, all these things we are seeing all over the country, insurgency, kidnapping and all this banditry and so on, they can be tackled much faster, much more efficiently through technology. There's no bandit cannot know if you use your radar or whatever.
Satellites and all of that.
Its location.
Okay, but that brings us to the fact that the APC is the current ruling party. All of these that we're hearing now, what was the delay? Because one would expect that if the APC is in the party, then there should be some form of cross information between the national leader, who's now the presidential candidate, and of course the president. What was that snag? Was it as a result of the delay in having the equipment coming, or what exactly, has caused that?
In relation to what?
In relation to security.
No. Well, don't forget that the present government inherited a very daunting security problem in 2015. People easily forget that about 20-something local governments in Borno State, part of Adamawa, part of Yobe, were under the stranglehold of Boko Haram. People forget it. The south of the country that was in charge of, that was under the stranglehold of Boko Haram was almost equal to, I think, the size of Switzerland or so. That was the kind of problem we had in 2015. And today, the narrative has changed. While battling the problem of insurgency in the northeast, the insurgents again move to the northwest. And you see an interplay of banditry and insurgency, but more of banditry in that part of the country, more of terrorism, not like what we witnessed in the south, where they were putting their flags and so on. This time around, there is no flag, but you see them committing all kinds of terrorism, all kinds of banditry, kidnapping, and so on. But you can see that in recent weeks, all the criticisms against the Buhari administration about security has died down. Because the government, the security forces, are alive to their responsibilities. The government has kitted them, has bought the right equipment for them, and every time they are neutralizing all these bandits, especially in the northwest and also in central Nigeria, wherever they may exist. So as you can see, the critics they've kept quiet. Nobody is talking about it anymore because they know that the government is winning the war against all these bandits.
It's interesting. Yeah, please go ahead.
So we intend to continue what the administration is doing in that respect. I said the equipments are around. Under the previous PDP administration, everybody will recall that the money meant for security was not used for security. It was used for a lot of mundane issues, virtually shared among the PDP members. And a lot of money, billions of dollars diverted into private pockets. You can see a lot of revelations by pro-panels about how the money was used. So that it was so disgraceful that at this stage, Boko Haram was more equipped than Nigerian soldiers. This is a story that everybody knew. It was all over the place. But that, as I said, that narrative has changed. The Buhari government will go down in history as the first regime in the last 3 decades or so to have invested heavily in rearming our security forces, either the Navy, the Air Force, the land troops. They've been given the equipment they never saw in decades before Buhari came.
Now it's interesting.
And that's the result. That's what the result you are seeing now. The efforts in kitting them, in harming them, and they are yielding results, and also motivating them. So the soldiers are ready, the Air Force people are ready, and they are just winning against these bandits and terrorists.
It's interesting that you mentioned Borno State, considering that the vice presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress is an ex-governor of Borno State. Some of the things that we have seen about both people, you know, it almost appears as if there is more between them than just a vice to a candidate. What's the synergy like between both parties?
Well, both Asiwaju Tinubu and Shettima, they share a lot of things in common. Asiwaju has one saying that if you are a governor and you don't just, whatever you achieve, you can't for nothing if you cannot have a successor that will continue along the path you have laid down. Both Asiwaju and Bola Tinubu and Shettima share a lot of things in common in that regard. Shettima performed very well in Borno State, despite the distraction of Boko Haram, despite the sort of insurgency and everything. And he was able to do a lot in that state. And he built many schools, he invested in housing, infrastructure, everything, in agriculture, and so on. He helped the Christians whose churches were demolished, and he ran a government as if nothing was happening, despite all the odds. Then, after completing his term, he left a man who was even excelled more than Shettima did. That is where he and Tinubu shared a lot of things in common. Tinubu governed Lagos for 8 years. But you can see that before he left a vision that will last 25 years. And you can see those who have succeeded him taking his own achievements 1-2 notches higher than he left it. And this continues to today. So that, you can see them, both of them have vision about what is good for their states, and I believe that these are the things they are going to bring to bear by the grace of God when Nigerians elect them as their leaders.
All right, thank you. You're listening to Citizen FM 93.7. It is 11 minutes to the top of the hour, and this is the Super Citizen Talking Point. My guest is Mr. Bayo Onanuga, veteran journalist, but most importantly, the Media and Publicity Director for the Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress. You did mention earlier about renewed hope as the tagline for the campaign, and some people have said 2023 has a lot of similarities to 1993. In truth, there is the ticket, the faith of the ticket holders. That's the president and the vice presidential candidate. There is also even their tribe, Kanuri Yoruba, But most importantly, what are we renewing about that hope? Because Hope 93 and now renewed Hope 2023. What are we renewing, really?
In 1983.
93.
1993 or so?
Yes, 1993, Hope 93.
1993, that was Hope 93. That was the campaign slogan and even the manifesto of Moshood Abiola. Ashwaju was part of that. You can see that in that 1993, they annulled what everybody regarded, international observers, Nigerians, as the freest and fairest election. And Ashwaju was part of the struggle for the actualization of Moshood Abiola's mandate in 1993 and beyond 1993. And what he did, and what he has stood for, is to see how we can rekindle that hope, the hope that was dashed by the military, and that this thing can be brought back alive. You see, in 1993, Moshood Abiola, a Yoruba from the western part of Nigeria, a Muslim, picked a running mate, a Kanuri man from Borno State, who also happened to be a Muslim. They were going to set a precedent, a nice precedent in Nigeria that will have quelled all these questions about religion. Because if they set a precedent that you have two Muslims on the same ticket, in the future, if we have two Christians on the same ticket, nobody will raise an eyebrow because it has happened before. But the military annulled that election and set this country back many, many years. We are still suffering from the hangover of that period. And that's why some people just, because they didn't understand what Ashwaju was trying to do, that was trying to bring back the spirit of what happened in 1993, that we could ignore the issue of religion and focus more on what candidates have to offer than their religion. I was born a Muslim. I might still practicing the religion. A lot of people were born into Muslim homes or Christian homes. It was just accident of birth. People were born into idol worshiping homes, into traditional worshiping homes, and accident of birth. Nobody chooses how it comes to this world. You are just born, and whoever is your parents, is he a Hindu or Buddhist or whatever? It's not that child's problem. So it's all of us. Our birth is by accident, and we don't choose the homes that we want to belong to. And the lesson that Ashwaju and Shizwan are trying to teach is that we should look beyond a person's accident of birth. We should rather look at his value. What is the person bringing to the table? What are the visions? What are the issues or programs the person wants to implement for the betterment of our country? That is what they should be focusing on, not on their faith. Because the faith, God does not know whether you're a Muslim or a Christian. All of us will be affected. And if our country is regressing, it's not about religion. It's about the capacity of those who govern you. It's about their visions, about what they want to do for the country. And that is the lesson that both Ashwaju and Shetima want to teach in part on Nigerians. That forget about who we are, religions-wise. Look at us as candidates. Look at our programs. Look at our capacity. Look at our history, our antecedents, what we did in our states, what Ashwaju did in Lagos, what Shetima was able to achieve in Borno State. These are the things to use to measure who they are, not their faith. Okay,
you mentioned the manifesto. When do we expect to have that? When will it be in the public space?
Well, I said, Ashwaju is already speaking to that manifesto, which means the manifesto is ready. Just like the PCC list, he wants to ensure that all party members, governors, the present administration, the NWC, the hall, buy into the program he has. He doesn't have a monopoly of wisdom. He wants to have a shared vision with all these people, so that it's not Tinubu's vision alone. It's a vision of the party. he just happens to be the flag bearer for the party. He wants everybody to buy into it, and that's what they've done. I think the document is ready. Maybe it's going to the press now, and we are hoping that it will be unveiled this week. But as I said, Treasury has already been speaking to the program, and some of us also know what is contained in the program. And that's why I spoke about, for instance, in solving security problems, if they ever arise again, we want to increase the number of soldiers, the number of policemen, and we want to use technology to really deal with this problem.
One of the major challenges people have had with Mashiwaju's candidacy is some people will say, oh, yes, he has done a lot in Lagos, we know him, he's good, but then his age comes to question. I don't know how you would like to respond to that.
Well, if you go by the example of what we see in the United States, in countries like Malaysia, you see that that's a non-issue. Age, what is age? Age is about experience. If you put a 40-year-old man or a 61-year-old man with a 70-year-old man, the experience the 70-year-old man has is certainly more than what a 61-year-old man has. And it's not just a 70-year-old man for the fun of it. It's a man who has recorded successes as a governor. And he has shown he has a vision. He has shown that he has a capacity to turn things from bad to good, and this is what he has shown. This is what he is bringing again back to the table. As I said, look at other countries. Age is not an issue. United States, we've seen the president is about 80 years old. The Speaker of the U.S. Parliament, the House of Rep, is 80-something years old. In Malaysia, a 95-year-old man, Mahathir Mohamad. He left office the third time he came back at age 95. He was 95 years old when he left office. 95. And then also, because look around, the man who is competing against Ashwaji in PDP is older than Ashwaji Tinubu. The present president is older than Ashwaji Tinubu. So his age is not an issue. It's what experience is the person bringing in.
I would have loved us to look at his health, because that's also some of what people have said, but
people are exaggerating. They are saying things that are very groundless about his health. The fact that he went abroad at this time for knee surgery doesn't mean that is invalid. The man is okay. We keep telling them, man is inanati. He went on a bike. If you have any health problem at all, can you ride on a bike?
Well, it's the political season.
People just left to them. For some of them actually want Ashwaji to die, but it is not in their hands.
True.
That is in the hand of God. Absolutely. And for anybody who's wishing his fellow human being to die, only God knows what to happen to that person.
True.
Before the person you are wishing to die will die. So you may even die before that person. And an example of that even happened recently. Somebody said, oh, Ashwaji is a walking dead. 4 days after he said that, he was dead.
Sadly. And people should be careful in projecting such things.
About people.
Well, it's 2 minutes to the top of the hour, and I know that I have violated some things, but then I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Bayo Onanuga, veteran journalist, and also the media director of the Presidential Campaign Council of the All Progressives Congress. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, and let me just apologize to the readers. I lost my way coming here today. I'm Michelle, and I think it was caused by Google Map.
Sorry about that.
Labor house.
Can you imagine? Sorry about that. Well, that's our package this morning. My name is KEMI ASEKUN. My friends call me Kem. I like it that way. Thank you for being a part of the program. And the state of the campaign will continue on the Super Citizen Talking Point as we bring in as many people as possible from different political parties to talk about what